I'm Jason, UFC, and today we have a story about UFC number one ranked middleweight contender. Dricus Du Plessis says he could be fighting at light heavyweight after UFC 297. UFC 297 will take place on Saturday, January 20th, 2024 in Toronto, Canada. The main event heavyweight I think the main event middleweight title will feature current middleweight champion Sean Strickland going up against UFC number one ranked middleweight contender Dricus Du Plessis. Sean Strickland last fought and defeated Israel Adesanya this past September at UFC 293 to claim the middleweight title. Dricus Du Plessis has won 6 in a row under the UFC banner, his latest TKO victory coming against Robert Whittaker this past July at UFC 290. Dricus Du Plessis spoke with Submission Radio about his plans following UFC 297, saying this is what Dricus Du Plessis says. That all depends how the... Okay, let me stop it real quick. I think the question was asked about his future about moving up to the light heavyweight division. So it wasn't just like he just threw it out there. It was basically, hey, how soon are you looking at moving up to light heavyweight? And this is what his answer was. This is what Dricus Du Plessis says. That all depends how the division opens up. I would still love to fight Israel Adesanya 100%. It would be my first choice as a defense. It would be great, but I'm assuming Hamza Chimaev is the guy UFC are going to try to push, so that would be cool too. I do want to defend my belt before. Obviously, it's going to come down to who I beat and how good I make it look. Dricus Du Plessis continues. If I go out there and absolutely destroy Hamza Chimaev, what's really left after defeating Sean Strickland, I would imagine? If I go out there and beat Israel Adesanya after becoming champion, what is there really? It's wiped out. I think I've wiped out the whole division. The two guys who wiped out the division were Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya, and beating those two guys doesn't really leave any room left. Okay, that's interesting. As for his upcoming fight with Sean Tarzan Strickland this coming January, a confident Dricus Du Plessis continued. I have my style of fighting. He has his. Sean Strickland has his style of fighting. In our fight is going to be the guy who imposes his will and fights his best fight. That's going to be the winner, and that's going to be me, Dricus Du Plessis. His defense, Sean Strickland's defense, is ugly. It's very weird, but it's effective. I think he deflects shots beautifully, and I think irritating is a good style. It's always pushing something out there, and it's such a different style. I don't think Sean Strickland, has that crazy knockout power, but Sean Strickland does has qualities. If you are fighting on Sean Strickland's pace, I promise you, you are going to lose that fight. Concluding, Dricus Du Plessis says, if you are going to fight Strickland's pace and Israel Adesanya fought Strickland's pace, Strickland walks forward. He makes people tentative sometimes because Strickland's slipping punches all the time. With that being said, I don't think his pace is a smart move. I know I'm more athletic. I know I'm stronger physically, and using that to my advantage, making sure I hit harder, but making sure that every shot I throw lands. I need one shot. I need to land one shot. If Alex Pereira can knock Strickland out, I can knock Strickland out even better. Okay, so that's the first time he actually mentioned the light heavyweight champion, right? So that's a quick shot at Alex Pereira, but that kind of sets up a pretty high bar, right? Like to say that, hey, if Alex Pereira defeated Sean Strickland in the first, I believe that was a first round knockout. I'm an MMA casual, so I can't remember everything. But Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland fought, and it was a first round left hook. I believe it was a left hook knockout. So if Dricus Du Plessis is going out there and saying like, hey, if Alex Pereira could do it, I could do it better, and I may be moving up to light heavyweight soon after that. That's a high bar to set. Personally, I think Dricus Du Plessis will defeat Sean Strickland. I don't know if it's going to be a first round knockout, but he did go in there and he defeated Robert Whittaker in the second round by TKO, right? So that says a lot because not too many people defeat Robert Whittaker by finish, right? So that says a lot about Dricus Du Plessis' mindset. it's good to go into a fight with the mindset of, hey, this fight isn't going 5 rounds. I'm going to finish this guy in the first round. But Sean Strickland is a tough guy. He went to Israel Adesanya's backyard and pieced Israel Adesanya up for a unanimous decision victory. So this may not be an easy fight for Dricus Du Plessis. This may not be a first round fight for Dricus Du Plessis. But listen, heading into the fight with Robert Whittaker, not many people, if anyone, I don't think anyone would have had Dricus Du Plessis finishing Robert Whittaker in the second round, right? So I'm not going to be surprised if Dricus Du Plessis finishes Sean Strickland in this fight, but I'm not gonna call for a first round finish. But as far as moving up to the light heavyweight division, he didn't take too many shots at Alex Pereira. He gave Alex Pereira his flowers. I do want to mention that Israel Adesanya, he only defended the belt twice, right? Like when he became champion, I believe he fought Romero and Costa, right? So Israel Adesanya, after becoming champion, after becoming middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya did go up to the light heavyweight division, and he fought Jan Blachowicz, where he lost, and then he came back down, and then that's when he started to loop the division for a second time, fought fights versus Robert Whittaker for a second time, for a fight versus Marvin Vettori for a second time. That's when he started to, run the second lap around the weight class. So listen, obviously before someone fights for the title, it's a little bit early to say, hey, I'm going to win the title, defend my belt, and then I'm gonna go into another division and win another title, right? But that's just like the move almost every UFC fighter does nowadays. You even had Leon Edwards talking about moving up to the middleweight division to fight the winner of Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis. Everyone called cap on that fight. But yeah, I don't disagree with this. Like I said, I'm an MMA casual. I know Dricus Du Plessis was in another organization, and I believe he was like a 2-division champion, but I don't know if he's ever fought in a light heavyweight division. I probably should have looked that up, but that would be interesting. He is a big boy. He's not, he's not tiny for the middleweight division. So I could definitely see him going up to the light heavyweight division, but I don't know if he's ever fought in a light heavyweight. I don't think he was 2-division champion. I think it was welterweight and middleweight, right? I think it was welterweight and middleweight. It could, but I don't know if it was light heavyweight and middleweight. But it's interesting. Like I said, Israel Adesanya only defended his belt twice versus Romero and Paulo Costa, and then he went up to the light heavyweight division. In this article, you could see that Dricus Du Plessis says, I do want to defend my belt before, right? He's not saying like, hey, I just want to become champion, then just jump up to the light heavyweight division. He's saying that, listen, if I become champion, I'm going to defend my belt versus a Hamza Chimaev, versus a Jared Cannonier, versus, Israel Adesanya, whoever's the number one contender. And then after that fight, right, then I'm going to look at moving up to the light heavyweight division. But yeah, let me know your opinion of this story. The question basically, this whole story stops if Dricus Du Plessis loses to Sean Strickland, right? I mean, he could still move up to the light heavyweight division, but he won't be, looking at a championship fight, obviously, off the bat. We had who was it? Paul Craig recently. He started talking a little bit ahead of his fight. He was saying things like, "Oh, I'm not gonna fight anyone ranked behind me after I beat Brendan Allen. I'm not gonna fight, people like Bo Nickel because, I'm looking at, only moving forward." And then he lost the fight, right? So it's usually a lot of times when fighters talk about their fight after the fight in front of them, it's just sometimes it seems like they lose that fight, right? Like Dricus Du Plessis saying like, hey, I'm going to destroy Sean Strickland in the first round better than Alex Pereira did. I'm going to defeat Hamza Chimaev or Israel Adesanya. Then I'm going to move up to the light heavy. It's a lot of steps way in front of his first UFC middleweight championship fight. But I will be rooting for Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 290. is it 297? I believe it's UFC 297 in Toronto, Canada next month. But let me know your opinion of this story. Who do you think is going to win between Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland? That's basically where the story starts. After that, we can get into Dricus Du Plessis versus Hamza Chimaev, Israel Adesanya, Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Paulo Costa, Marvin Vittori, you know, all those names, and then moving up to the light heavyweight division. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about UFC #1 ranked middleweight contender Dricus Du Plessis says he could be fighting at light heavyweight after UFC, not quickly after, but, you know, sometime after UFC 297 if he wins the UFC middleweight championship. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.